Today I'm going to explain again, as I've done many times, but many of you out there just don't want to accept the facts, so I'll do it again. I'm going to explain why American elections are nothing more than a political farce. And politics, by the way, hence the word politicians, comes from the Greek word politic, which means ticks and parasites, because that's all your politicians are. They serve the Israeli lobby. So let's use an example, the 1992 election, where a relatively unknown character, Slick Willie Rockefeller, who was the illegitimate and bastard son of Winthrop Rockefeller, and you can confirm that by looking at the pictures in the big Rockefeller book, probably cost about $100 to $150 these days. I got it for less years ago. You'll see a picture of Winthrop Rockefeller, former governor of Arkansas, who looks almost identical in the photo to Bill Clinton, his illegitimate bastard son. Here's the tale, and it's true. His mama was working in the Rockefeller mansion in Mena, the area of Mena, Arkansas, where the governor resided, had an affair with him and got knocked up. And the Rockefeller family supported Clinton for the rest of his life, and to this very day still support that lying, insidious, drug-dealing piece of shit. And yes, you could Google or YouTube and look up your research how Bill Clinton ran with George Bush, Poppy Bush Sr., who he went against in the election in the drug business. They were in the drug business together. Oliver North could confirm that, so can many other people. And Clinton had murdered 53 people, 53 youths, teenagers and a little bit older, or perhaps a few more during the days who were on to what he was doing. Bill Clinton is a 33rd degree Freemason, a member of the Trilateral Commission, and a member of the CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, and of course the Bilderberg Group and many other secret societies. George Bush, his opponent in the election, is also a member of the Bilderberg Group, the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, and is also a 33rd degree Freemason and belongs to the same other conspiratorial organizations that Clinton belonged to. Most of them anyway. So tell me, where was the election? There was no election. It was a selection by the Israeli lobby, who were ordered to select Clinton from the House of Rothschild, or the Synagogue of Satan. The problem that they had, and they knew they would have, was getting Clinton in because he was a relatively unknown, except for the Arkansas area, and those of us who know what's really going on in this godforsaken kosher sewage plant called America. So what they did, you see, they had to get, and the reason why they were so concerned about Clinton becoming president is because they wanted to start the war on small business, which began in the probably around 1994 with the passage of the Free Trade Act, or NAFTA, N-A-F-T-A. George Bush could have never got that passed because he couldn't get the Democratic trade unions on his side. Clinton could, because he was a Democrat. But how do you get Clinton in when Bush is the shoe-in, the favorite? Relatively easy. They got their good old boy, Ross Perot, an independent who ran on the independent ticket, to come out and get a lot of airtime talking about what he would do to save America. Well, of course, it was all a bunch of balderdash, unadulterated horse manure that came from his mouth, but it sounded good, and the people believed him. So the votes were taken away from Bush and went to Clinton. Went to Perot. Of course, the Democrats, as always, stick to their guns and voted for Clinton. Clinton won the election, and Bush Sr. was promised that 8 years later, after Clinton had his run, that his son would become president and get the Patriot Bill passed and get credit for that. That was written in truth by Jews, by rabbis who run Capitol Hill. 9/11 was planned, years before it occurred. And Israel and the CIA did 9/11. You could confirm that by going to YouTube or Google. The military knows it. So does any person who has the ability to handle the truth and think outside the box. You folks have been had, taken, hoodwinked, and bamboozled, led astray, run amok, mesmerized, put to sleep, and mind fucked. And it's about time you wake your asses up. This, by the way, this Israeli control of the United States has been going on since the Jews murdered John F. Kennedy in 1963. They murdered him because he would not give them the money to build a nuclear arsenal, so they got it from Russia, which was communist at the time. The nuclear arsenal is in Dimona in the Negev Desert, which is a Yiddish name for Satan. After they built it, Kennedy found out about it and he wanted to inspect it by force if necessary. So the Jews had him killed. Of course, there was a myriad, a plethora of other reasons, some of which are he wanted to can the Federal Reserve, which is nothing more than a cabal of international Jewish bankers that print money out of nothing and charge interest on it, and you pay the interest. It's not backed up by anything except you. You are the collateral, and you could YouTube that or Google it also. You're listed, every one of you, with $1 million bond on the stock exchange. You got to wake up, folks. The hour is getting late, and a great storm will soon be upon you. I call that storm the American Holocaust. There's always a lull or a period of quietude before the storm. The greater the lull, the greater the storm. And this storm will bring death to many of you. As prescribed in Agenda 21, you could Google that too, the UN resolution. The rest of you will be genetically modified slaves. Some of you will be thrown, many of you will be thrown in FEMA concentration camps that have been springing up all over this nation. The rest of you will find yourselves in body bags, and the United States has purchased or manufactured millions of them. This is depicted in the murals that line the world's walls of Denver Airport. You could also go to Google and Google the Georgia Guidestones, where their plan is to cut down the world population from the 7 million it is approximately to 500 million. That's killing 11 out of 12 of you. It's time to wake up, folks. There are no elections in America. Hillary Clinton, of course, if there is another so-called election or selection, is the next president of the United States. But as far as my opinion goes, I believe you'll have the American Holocaust before that and open new world order, so there will not be a so-called presidential election ever again in America. But that's only my contention. I could be wrong on that. Everything else I said is unadulterated, unequivocal, unquestionable, uncontestable, bona fide truth. And you could do your own research and find out exactly what I said. That's all, folks.